All right, all right, all right. We are back with Whiskey and Real Estate. We got the man, the main man, the man of the hour, Mr. Double Bang himself. Lucas Burrington in the building. How you doing, sir?
Hey, it's a Friday today, and we're having a little Knob Creek today. So we're yeah, a little Knob Creek. We haven't done this one yet. So whiskey abuse here.
To the
100 proof Knob Creek. It's small batch bourbon.
They should have Juicy J endorse this drink. the slob edition. Some good old slobber knocker right here. Slobber knocker.
Double banging with the slobber knocker.
Oh, this episode's starting great.
But it's a good day to have one though, because we're entering a real interesting time with the first presidential debate coming out. Just was last night, and we hate to date ourselves when we put those out there, but
no, these will drop pretty fast. So
yeah, and it's so relevant to what goes on in our world because. I was just talking to another agent that just got licensed, and he's like, "Is this how the market normally is?" I said, "Hell no, it ain't. No, not at all." I go, "This last 4 years, it's, you see what the difference in leadership styles is. I mean, at the top level and how it impacts everything. Yeah. I mean, what we've seen lately in the real estate world is like basically you standing back at a lake and you throw a rock and you see the ripple effect, and that's Washington D.C.'s that rock, the big lake, and they throw that thing in the middle of it of a pond, and you see the lake, and you see the ripple effects, and we're feeling the ripples on our end because interest rates still haven't gone down, Yeah. So inflation is still high, which is as long as inflation's high, interest rates are going to be high.
Yep.
The inflation originally when they first said was going to be temporary. Obviously, that
4 years later.
4 years later, it is no longer a temporary inflation.
Is it even inflation anymore? Is it just the market? Like, how long do we call it inflation before this is the norm?
Well, and that's a great question right there. But the only reason I say it's not the norm is just because of they're forecasting the price cuts or the interest rate cuts, and they said we were going to have 4 or 5 this year, and
are they forecasting or praying?
Yeah,
it's a little bit of both.
I mean, when you got when you got people up there making decisions, and it don't matter if you're right wing, left wing, down the middle. I mean, it's still decision makers. I mean, if you got people that are making decisions and they're shipping money everywhere else except here to stimulate markets, and when I mean everywhere else, I mean they're shipping money around the world for this, that, and another, help rebuild this market, help do that, but they're not doing anything here to stimulate the United States market. I mean, because it's not just Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where it's getting impacted with the rates. I mean, when you're an investor and you're out trying to buy properties at 8%, your cash flows ate up immediately. Than it was, buying a $150,000 house 4 years ago, or even 3 years ago, at 4% or 5% as an investor, and then as a normal buyer, they're getting 3.5%. I mean, your $200,000 house then, you got like a $1,400-$1,500 payment. Your $200,000 house now, you're paying 2 G's. It's a huge difference, and I mean that just, man, I tell you that it's listening to both the presidential nominees last night talk, and I mean, people like, who do you vote for? I said, I vote for who affects my job. I mean, and I don't walk either side of it. I mean, I literally, who's affecting my job right now, because that's how I feed myself and my kids, and so on and so forth. So it's just, boy, I'll tell you, it matters. Leadership matters. That's for dang sure. So interesting times. Interesting times,
and
Tom.
Politics affects everything. It is important to get out and vote, everybody. Because your lack of voting is just as impactful as the people voting.
Right.
And it like, again, we're talking real estate.
Yep.
I've heard them talk music, the stuff that went down with Ticketmaster, and the stuff that I deal with streams, like, songs right now, they pay you, I believe it's a third of a penny it might be less than a third. It's like 0.0003. So like it's a crazy number. It takes 1 million streams for us to generate $2,500, and
Jesus.
a song alone honestly can cost close to $1,000 right there. That's just to make the song, to actually market it, shoot a video,
Right.
you know, to actually put it out there. Most artists, I'd say 90% of artists aren't hitting, independent artists at least, aren't hitting 1 million streams. So, you know, I found a way to make a business out of it, but it wasn't the traditional way, just make music. Like even the songs I've had go crazy viral where NBA or NFL use it, those still don't have 1 million streams.
That's crazy.
And, you know, to know that you can do a song that big and it's still less than $2,500 made off that song is nuts. And politics affects that.
Oh, yeah.
The people you vote in, the people that fight for you, you have to listen to who's arguing what, and whether they should keep their seat or not, and should they be the person that makes decisions that affects your business, your everyday life, the value of your home, selling and buying. So yeah, we always start with today's market, and you know, he says like not a good time to buy or sell, or would you say definitely sell because you're gonna make more?
You know, it is. It's definitely not a seller's market right now. Like, it is dead out there. Like I put 2 houses up on the market 2 days ago, and then we have probably close to like 21 listings right now, which is fantastic for Burlington real estate. Like most of the big corporations, like the big dogs here in town, we have more listings than they have right now.
Yeah.
And that's just testament to us 5 dudes just out hustling.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what's going on between Chuck and Brandon and Connor and Jack. I mean, and you even got Brandy throwing some into the mix now.
Nice.
So I mean, it's getting serious out there where our hustles. You got those realtors that have just said, screw it, I'm going to come back when the rates go low.
Yep.
You know, when it gets easy again, you know?
Yeah.
But the ones that are grinding and hustling, I
Yeah.
mean,
Isn't that kind of like your love of the business though? Like the grind, the hustle, like that's what keeps you hungry, and it's exciting. Although it's tough, it's more rewarding when it's tough. When it's easy, we knew this was going to happen. When it's tough and you had to fight for it, obviously, you know, all money's good money.
Oh, yeah.
So easy money's great money, but when you work for it, when you hustle, that's what kind of keeps you young, right?
Yeah. Well, and so getting back to the seller market and buyer market, I mean, these 2 properties that I just listed were what I would consider A+ properties, like A+ location, fresh remodels, granite countertops, priced in the area where it should be, great school districts.
Yep.
And normally, like my first 48 hours on the market with something like that, I'm going to get 15 to 25 showings. I mean, 6 months ago, we were telling people those first 48 hours that your house is on the market, go book a hotel or figure you're going to be gone for a whole day because it's going to be stacked up.
Showing back to back to back.
I've maybe had 2 showings so far out of those 2. And normally I would have 25, probably close to 25 to 35 between the 2.
Yeah.
And
we definitely talked about time frames in season 1.
Yep.
And
we
it was
said
way
this
different.
is the dead one. This is dead period where this is.
Oh man.
And it is proving live. I mean, if you go back to our previous podcast, we've talked about the best times to sell and the worst times, and July is always the worst. June, late June, early July, because people are on vacay and whatnot.
Well, so where I'm confused is like, why isn't this a good time? I mean, I guess because the buyers know that the market's bad. But like, if I was a homeowner and I saw the interest rates and everything go up, I want out. I want out of this. Why is this just not a good time to sell because they also know it's not a good time to buy?
Exactly. So would you give away a 3% interest rate to go to an 8% interest rate?
Oh yeah, it'd be because you got to think about that. Once you sell, you also have to be a buyer again too.
But on the turn side, I mean, so you know, we've talked, you know, we've pretty steadily through our podcasts, you know, we've always talked inventory numbers of how many houses are out there. This is the first time I've seen it over 1,100 houses on the market since COVID. So that has been a plus. Our inventory is getting back.
But is it a higher inventory because there's houses sitting there? They're on the market.
That's exactly
longer
right.
than,
I mean, your average day on the market right now, I mean, you go this last year, average day on the market, if it was priced right, was like 6 days.
Yeah.
Some of your higher ends might set for 25 days.
Yep.
shoot, right now I'm watching price drops after price drops after price drops, and houses on the market for 90 days, 120 days.
No.
So it's like we talked about in probably like episode 2, and when we were talking about, you know, oh my God, houses are selling for $15,000-$20,000 more than I thought. Now it's the opposite. So we've seen the full switcheroo in the market from our second podcast that we did. Now we're on season 2 in our second podcast in season 2, and it is, so you're talking in a year time span, just the switch.
Yep.
And it makes me want to go back and watch those.
We got to.
And start sending clips, you know, a year ago today, this is what it was.
Compare these two.
Yeah. Because it is completely different. Now, investors are like, I mean, some of the investors are like toddlers right now because the houses they've bought and thinking that, or multifamilies, whatever the heck they're investing in, they bought, you know, they were thinking, okay, I'm going to buy this and I'm going to refinance when rates are low. Yeah. Rates haven't dropped. So they thought, you know, maybe 6 months I'd have to hold this before I refi. 9 months I'll refi it and my margins would get better on a monthly basis. And so right now they're kicking and screaming and be like, I'm not cash flowing anything. I'm not making anything. We're going almost on a year of these interest rates. And I'm like, I don't control interest rates. Once again, back to our top, you know, that big rock in the lake, and we're starting to see those ripple effects between the investor feeling it. Now, I as you all know, I manage close to 600 properties, and you know, I've been a property manager for 13 plus years, and I've never seen a better talent pool of renters right now, because now I have the 700 renters that are like, you know what, we're just going to rent for the next 12 months until rates drop. But I got someone to buy my house, so I need somewhere to go, so I'm coming to rent from you for the next 12 months.
And that's where this is almost another form of double banging, because you sell houses, sell and buy, but you also have the property management, the AMMT side of things. So I feel like AMMT should be thriving with nothing available for rent.
We don't have anything. So we out of our 600 properties that we manage, we probably have close to 300, 400 single family houses. Yeah. We have one we could rent today.
What?
Yep, I literally went to our board. We got one.
And then how many houses did you say?
And we probably have, you know, we have just ourselves. We have 400 houses that we manage.
And there's like 1,100 available, but you guys have 400 houses.
Yeah, that we manage, that we have one we could rent right now.
Oh my God.
And I mean, it's a decent house. It'll fill immediately. I mean, it just hit the market today, so I'm guessing.
Won't be around long.
No, from the renter side, it will not. So investors, my best advice to you right now is buy.
Yeah.
Buy, because prices are going down. I just did another price drop on 2 houses today. You're going to see those 2018, 2019 numbers that you can buy at and make money, because rents have skyrocketed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing that blows my mind. So let's talk about leadership again.
Yeah.
So you're gonna give us record high inflations. So, you know, a bag of jerky that I like to throw in my car because it's A, healthier to eat, and B, it'll last me all day. That was $11 bag of jerky. Now it's $21. So you're gonna charge us more at the grocery store, and you're gonna raise rents. So right now, I mean, I kid you not, plain Jane 2-bedroom, one two-bedroom, 1-bath apartment. When I first started this, was pulling $525 a month. Now they're pulling, I mean, so, and then we started, as we started to get in the market share that we were managing, we started raising rents. Yep. So we got them up to about $650 to $675.
Yep. Still manageable.
Yep. Still manageable.
But over however many years, that's still $150 increase. So.
Yep. So over the last 8 months, and I'm talking 8 months, $695 2-bedroom apartments are now going for $850 plus $75 on utilities
in 8 months.
8 months. So you want to talk about inflation in just in the grocery store? Let's talk about inflation in the rental side. And I mean, and the reason they have to do that, it's the only way these investors that were buying properties can cash flow now, because.
Yeah, and the beauty of this podcast is you get to speak for those people that, like, obviously the average renter oh, they're the bad guys, and they raised my rent again. This is crazy.
Yep.
But can you kind of break that down? Like, in order to maintain this property,
Right.
and the way that inflation works, like, what are reasons where, hey, we've got to raise the rent on this building that we own?
So let's give a live effect on that rock in a lake situation. So derecho hits Cedar Rapids.
Yep.
There's an abundance of handymen, construction workers, whatever not during this time because, Cedar Rapids got rocked. There was an abundance of jobs.
You were out there chopping some trees.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And so you had an abundance of people. You had an abundance of jobs. You had interest rates that were at, 4%. And so people were willing to sell their properties. People were willing to do this. People were willing to do that. There's plenty of construction workers. Let's fast forward. So we're fast forward 3 years now.
Yep.
So now we're fast forward 3 years. The inventory's low. There's no houses to buy. Inventory's finally starting to go back up, but rates are super high. So no one wants to buy because rates are super high.
Yep.
People are getting inflation. So here's this whole ripple effect that's coming with that rock in the water. So now you got rates that are super high. So now your buyer's down. Yep. You got buyers that are just sitting. Yep. You got investors that are tight on money because inflation at the gas station, inflation at the grocery store. You got just everything costs more. So now there's a lack of jobs because someone like Tone and I we're making some ching during the real estate time. Everyone's money's tight because everything costs more. So those home repairs, all those damages that were taken care of, people aren't doing them anymore.
Yeah.
So they're just holding their money because they don't have that the 2 months or 3 months reserves that they had this last couple years previous leadership. And so now you got your contractors, they don't have as many jobs, so now they have to charge more.
Yeah.
So the ripple effect from derecho to now to leadership. So now you got your contractors that are charging twice as much as they were charging 3 years ago. So there's inflation on that end of it. So now you got the cost of house that's got to go up and the cost of rents that need to go up because taxes are still going up.
Yep. And then insurance, which is like non-existent in some places.
So
I'm not insuring Cedar Rapids. You have floods and derechos.
So insurance premiums are up like 40%. So everywhere across the board, it's just gone. And so it is sucked up the market.
All those things hit the property manager, the guy that picks the amount of money that you can rent for.
Yep.
Yes, in 2018, I can rent you for $525, and that covers my expenses. And like I had to explain yesterday at even a friend of mine who's a mechanic. He's like, my friends are asking for discounts and this and that, and he like just ignores my overhead. And I was like, yeah, like not only do you have the shop itself, you buy the part, and you have a staff. Like, let's say if you offered free labor, which is to me unacceptable to ask for, because not only am I at work, but while I'm at work, that's my time I'm away from my kids, from my significant other, from things that I like to do. So to ask me for even a discount, but especially for free or whatever, can you hook it up? Like, what do you think a hookup is? Like, that's just out of my pocket, out of my time. And things happen. Like, what if I got hurt while I'm hooking you up? Like, that's crazy.
Yep.
So with property management, there's so many things that go into effect. Like, people don't understand that renting a property is so much easier. Like, all right, hey, this went out or this is broke. You get to call a landlord to fix that.
Right.
Versus when you own a house. But that landlord might have either a Chuck actually explained it to me. There's like just a maintenance group.
Right.
Where you can call, but you're paying a certain amount a month for them to maintain the property.
Exactly.
Those guys went up because parts go up, because
shortage
labor,
of jobs too.
Shortage of jobs. I've got to do 20 jobs today because I don't have a staff of what I used to, because we can't pay them enough because the cost of operation went up, and that all comes from the top.
Yep, that's all leadership, man. I mean, it's crazy. Like, I was talking to Monica about this, and I was like, I don't care what you got to do. I don't care if you go sign up for your dog. I don't care what you do, but you're voting. Yeah. I go, I mean, you got to vote because leadership does matter on this. And I was speaking to Chuck, and Chuck's like, God, did you watch the debate last night? That was awful. I'm like, yeah, it was tough. It was tough to get through. And he's like, man, does that change your vote? I go, I'm voting for my job, man. That's I got to figure out
that's where my vote goes.
Yeah, I mean, you got one guy that is strictly real estate, loves real estate, and it was booming when he was in there. And then you got the other guy that just is going to do everything to piss off the other guy, so he hates real estate right
he's
now.
just anti.
Yeah, he's
the other
anti
guy.
whatever the other guy wants. So
well, that
he's-
guy wants to make money. You're gonna be anti-money.
yeah, so okay, you're gonna have what's the biggest inflation or influx? How's the quickest way to stimulate an economy? Real estate. What's your largest purchase? Real estate.
Yep.
You want to stimulate the economy? You want to watch inflation go down? Fuck with the rates.
Yep.
Either
Yep.
you're gonna kill the market or you're gonna drive the market.
Yep.
And so you got one guy that's sitting on the sidelines like, man, I had $1.98 gas and I had 3% interest rates when I was there. And you got another guy on the sidelines like $4 gas and hey, dang,
They got
market-
it.
Yeah, market's great. And you're like, come on, man, what world are you living in?
And it's like, even if you think, oh, the people at the top, they got it, they can afford it. They can only afford it because they have to charge more to the people that can't.
Hey,
it
but tell
affects
them this is going to be
everybody.
tax free. I'm not going to charge you anything. Free tuition, free everything.
Yeah.
Except for me, the 1 percentile that's out there busting their ass, and I'm now paying double in taxes
Exactly.
to pay for someone else because
Yep.
that's what the top says.
Yep.
Man, I get so much grief from my kids and from Anika and whoever's riding in my car about driving and about where I'm at on this road. I'm like, you know what? I guarantee you I'm in the 1 percentile of this city that pays for these streets.
Yeah.
I'm going to use them all.
Yep.
I'm using
Every
this
street.
whole street.
These my streets.
Yeah, it's my street. I'm passenger side. I'm over here.
I threw down on these roads.
This is my road.
Facts. No.
So, old boy that's riding his bicycle over there that's hugging that tree that didn't pay taxes
Yep.
last year. I'm coming after you.
Yep,
You
yep.
got 50 points on you right now.
I swear. I swear. These are our roads.
So yeah,
Oh,
you're catching us at the end of a week where we're approaching the first of the month and we're starting to hear all the excuses from the tenants why they're not going to be able to pay rent, and most importantly, we're hearing from the investors of how hey Lucas, will you please go out and fix this for me and do this for me? I'll pay you next month for the work you guys just did, right? So.
I pay my staff now.
Yeah, it's so true. Today was handyman payroll. I'm like, I got to look them in the eye and be like, hey, okay, I'm floating this bill for this investor until he pays because the market's tight. So once again, it's just we've seen the full effect from the real estate side where, inventory is finally catching up. And that was the whole thing behind inflation, was to try to get our shelf stocked back up, whether it was a grocery store shelf or whether it was a real estate shelf. I mean, you remember when all the derechos, you couldn't find any food on shelves, and all the natural disasters that were happening worldwide. We couldn't.
Pandemic, people bought all the toilet paper.
Yeah, you couldn't do it.
Just
So
being a dick.
inflation had to come in. There was a reason inflation started. It was here to slow the market down so we can restock our shelves. Whether that was a inventory for real estate, whether it was inventory for, but now it's gone too far. It's gone.
Yeah, it's like, well, this word, do we really have to go back down? That's the right thing to do.
Right. Well, Miss Yellen, who's running the whole whatever you want to call it, the Fed rate, and she's like, oh, it's all good. I'm like, man, when's the last time you went and got your own groceries?
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
come
you
on.
wouldn't even know.
Yeah, you have no idea.
Like, and I don't know if it's a luxury of mine or just me trying to ignore it, but I don't look at gas prices. I know I got to fill up. I know it's costing me a ton, but it's something where it's like I feel powerless to
Right.
it. So I don't look at it and complain. I don't shop around. Oh, I better go to Come and Go and not Casey's. I just get gas because
You have
it
to have
sucks,
it.
man. It's
I have to.
We're bending over out here.
Yep.
Me and Chuck talked about that a lot at GoDaddy when we were working, and once we went public, obviously everything changed, policies,
Right.
pay cuts, and so forth. And it's like, for a while, it's just like, you know what? We're just walking in to get bent over. But then once they get crazy and abusive, it's like, hold on, man, we settled for bending over. Now you're trying to do mouth stuff. We're not
Right.
okay with
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
whoa, hey.
The comfort zone. Night.
Yeah, pineapples.
Pineapple.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, safe word.
So we both end up walking away from what was great jobs, but we knew what it was. And it's stuff like inflation where you just accept it at some point, but there's a time where you have to stand up. And
Right.
I think that's getting out and voting. It's
Yep.
getting out and saying this is my person,
Yep.
like researching everybody, knowing who's for you, your industry, and what's gonna change the tide. Because like I said, not voting is just as impactful as voting.
Well, you got guys that are. I mean, especially when you see all this immigration crap that's going on, and you got our soldiers that are over there. I mean, those guys are dying for us to vote. You know, to be able to vote, even if you vote for your dog or your daughter or whoever you want to vote for. I mean, go out there and just put a name on a ballot. I mean, I voted for my dog up until Obama, and man, then it felt like I was voting for a dog after Obama. I was like, man, whoa.
Still a dog.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it was. I mean,
talk about that. Does stuff like the Capitol, does that affect interest rates? So when they raid the Capitol, or just when a dumb comment's made?
no. So what it will affect is the stock prices. So when something major like, you know, an insurrection or whatever you want to call it, or when you got, you know, someone doing stupid within a holding company, that can affect a share. What it affects is the stock market. Now, your stock market can, if it crashes, it can affect your gas prices and your oil prices and what a barrel of oil sells for, and gold prices. Usually when gold's high, gas is low. When oil's high, gas is low. So there's usually direct reflection, but no, it's not over interest rates. It's not really going to affect your interest rates. When you make a stupid decision like shutting down a pipeline that's in the United States, that's pumping all your oil, and you got and gas, and now you got to go overseas to get it. That's where it affects your stuff. And keep in mind, I mean, I understand, and I'm environment friendly on a lot of things that I do.
Yeah.
But we had the cleanest emissions when we had the pipeline and everything. I mean, I know this to a T. I was like, okay, what am I getting behind here? So I researched the shit out of it, and I mean, I'm like, it didn't make any sense. It was strictly a backdoor dollar coming into a pocket of someone.
Yeah.
And that's literally what it was.
Yep.
And we saw the direct effect. I mean, as soon as they shut that pipeline off and they said no more fracking, no more gas coming in or anything like that, inflation went through the roof.
Yep.
So like you said, the quickest way to stimulate the economy is through real estate, and to have an impact on it. The quickest way to kill an economy, mess with your gas and your oil.
Yeah.
Mess with your fossil fuels, because that's an everyday need for America. And once you start messing with that stuff, and the thing is we're at the mercy of the government for that stuff.
Yeah.
It's and keep in mind, everyone that watches my podcast, I never get political. I never get into that side of it. I don't believe in it, but you know, you start to feel it in the questions that we
it's
deal
a part of our everyday life and our business. So
Yep.
it's necessary. It affects what we get paid, what we charge.
Yep.
We have to acknowledge that. I think educating people to at least have an understanding of who you're voting for and the fact that it is important to vote. I think that's kind of our what is it, fiduciary?
Yeah. Well, get over a personality. Quit crying over a personality. Go out there of who's having an effect on what you truly do.
What's
I mean,
better for business?
I ain't gonna lie. A guy can come up and slap me in the face, call me an asshole, and be a dick. But if he's gonna hand me $1 million at the end of it, I'm taking it. All right, I'll do it again. When's my next slap, sir?
I swear, I've definitely, and that's the thing, and I'll get personal, and then I want to get into some other crazy stuff. But I was in a situation where I was working for someone, and like a lot of people were telling me, dude, she's racist, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, she's paying the bills right now. And it's not just she's paying the bills and she's not blatantly disrespecting me or calling me, you know, anything and everything. But there were things that we all seen, and it's like, bruh, you shouldn't work for this person. And I'm like, this is doomed to fail because of the nature. But while I'm collecting in this shorter time that I am working with this person, you know, my rebuttal to a lot of people was, I bet you probably work for somebody that's racist too. I bet you know that asshole that you'd rather not see every day, and you're seeing them 40 hours a week. Right. I may see this person 4 or 5 hours a month and get paid more than you in the 40 hours. And, you know, maybe you don't even know the person you're working with is racist. At least this person's at least honest with me about a lot of shit. Like I said, it didn't get disrespectful, but it was to the point where all my boys are like, come on, dude, like that person's an ass, but the business is great. Right. And when you get in this position, God, there's a gnat that flew like right in my nose.
I watched it. I watched it.
When you get in these positions where you have to run a business, you have to deal with people you don't like. That's kind of work. That's everyday job. Like even as a boss or CEO of a corporation, sometimes you still got to hire that idiot that gets it done.
Well, and I ain't gonna lie, being a small business owner, owning small.
You ain't a small business. This is big business over here.
Man, come on. But being a business owner, I mean, you get to see the whole turn of it, and especially since the woke society came up. I mean, us small business owners are getting yanked through the mud. I mean, and it is because of we don't have the we're 15 to 25 employees, and you got. The corporations are controlling everything right now.
Yep. And
so like my kids were asking, difference between, political this and political Democrat, Republican, all that stuff. Yes, sir. And I said, one's for the people and one's for the corporations. And that's where you got to kind of look at it. I'm a small business owner. Once again, my vote is going to who's affecting the small business owners in real estate.
And that's what's important too, is like not just, I'm just go vote Democrat. No, the people, the individuals are important. Their opinions, what they're passionate about.
Yep.
That stuff doesn't just stem from a party. There's personal experience. There's people that have been affected by certain laws that whether they're Democrat or Republican, they're going to vote a certain way, and that's the person you need to have in office. So you can't just vote all Democrat. No, know who you're voting for. Know that, all right, he's a Republican, but we're probably going to make a lot more money, and the rates are going to go down, and the stocks will be up. And, you have to look at how it affects you. So I want to, the next thing I was saying, we'll get all over the place, is we've never talked conspiracies. And I've always been a person that avoids those. Yeah. But after this conversation and a lot of our other conversations, we don't have to say your opinion on it. But people have, and I always looked at it as like, man, that's disrespectful to the people that they lost. But like 9/11 being an inside job. When knowing what we know, how politics affects interest rates and oil and gas prices, I won't say whether I believe it is or not, but I can see how it would serve the interest of the country to up the prices and blame somebody else.
Well, okay, so here's my theory on conspiracy theories. They exist. I mean, they're there. But I don't think it's more conspiracy as more greed.
I
think
they're tied together.
I call it a greed theory more than a conspiracy theory, because I mean, you look at whatever they do. Let's just say it was an inside job to raise what we wanted to raise more money over here.
Yep.
You look at why did we shut down the United States? The fossil fuels here, and why did we open the pipeline up over in Germany? I mean, with Germany. Someone's getting a kickback. I mean, what was the first thing that Trump did when he took office? He went over to Germany and he cut their pipeline right in half.
Yeah.
Boom.
Said, nope, not doing that.
Nope, you got to come to the United States. You're paying us.
Yep.
And I mean, it was the first time in 75 years where we were actually export profitable. I mean, and the reason was because he went down and shut their pipeline down.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you would think the next guy coming in, the only reason he's shutting down our pipeline is so he makes money off the pipeline over there. He's like, you know what? I'll shut ours down. You pay me over here. Yep. And it's true. They track the money, so it's all greed, man. I mean, conspiracy theories happen. We see it in our local area where money talks and can shut people up too.
Yeah.
And I mean, we were just talking about it, that's getting into what we're, kind of where I think you're alluding to is there's a right and a wrong, and then there's money.
A moral code
is
not the same as business. Like, I've been screwed over, but it made sense to me.
Right.
This was the smart way to screw me over. I'm making top dollar. I showed you the formula. Let's bring in somebody I could pay a fourth of that, and they'll walk out with a smile and never complain.
Yep.
Versus the guy that's making it, built the fan base, built the whole, the idea, and we got to change this. This isn't right. My people are voicing this. This is their concerns, and I need this to happen this way. Well, cut that guy out. Bring in a guy that, hey, this works. This is why. These are the rules. Instead of having any debate. Smart business. Sucks.
It does suck.
But It's business.
It's leadership again, though, but it comes down from leadership. I mean, you look at, okay, Trump, Biden. I mean, we're talking Democrat, talking about Republican, where you're working for someone,
Yep.
and they are billionaire corporation,
Yep.
Fortune 500 corporation.
Yep.
If they feel you're leaning one way or the other, I mean, we've seen it. We've seen people being laid off because they're voicing their opinion on something.
Yep.
We got stuff going on in Cedar Rapids right now that I completely am behind it on an area where, you know, I'm all an advocate for the kids and the youth sports and whatnot. And, But if you speak your mind on some of that stuff, man, you get blackballed.
Yeah.
And we're hearing some of the stories now. True, false, who knows?
Yeah. No, let's
But
bring it down to a local level. Like the
yeah.
people in office make the decisions and they have the power and influence.
And this is where it's not Washington, D.C. Now it is state capital. You know, now it is local capital. Now it's your mayor's office. It's all that stuff that really have an impact on some of this stuff. So whether which way you look at it, there is always a higher power. And usually it's a money thing. Usually it's a money grab. It's a greed thing. A greed theory is the best way I would put it out there.
Recently, there was a TikTok video going around where a lady said she couldn't even spend her money. Her money was no good in a few places. And, you know, that's where it's like, obviously stand up for what you believe in. At the same time, sometimes money can't get you. There's just power that is above money. Sometimes money is power. Sometimes power outweighs money.
Yep.
Talk to us about that, where it's like, hey, I can't work with you because you are making enemies with investors and people that I work with on a daily basis.
You know, man, I deal with it all the time, but the kind of the situation we're talking about, if I was to put my hat in a ring that was against one way or the other, and let's just go black or white, or let's go the LGBT community. If I was to support someone that was very vocal against or for
community,
I could lose half my business.
Yep.
So
there's a reason we've been dancing around names this whole episode. We both, as small business owners, have to be careful. Like, we work with a lot of people, and we don't want to cut off one person because there's people that really won't invest with you because they see somebody else, or you said something or spoke up for somebody else. Right. And that's the sad part of business, but that's what it is.
Well, and that's the main reason we have never got political on this.
Yeah, you can't.
I mean, but it's easy to get political right now. We just left a debate, but it's also, we can just give real life effects of what's been going on. And we're not picking a side either which way. We're just laying it out there. Be like, hey, you know,
important.
Yep. Hey, if I support this a person within this community that may be 100% valid, right, and whatever not, and I put my name out there and say, hey, I'm right behind you and I'm going to be a voice with you, I could lose my business.
Yep.
And that's the nature of Cedar Rapids, the market we're in, the government we live in. Yep. And so it's really sad that there's a lot of people that can't put a voice out there because they lose everything they got.
Yep.
And we've seen it happen to some people, whether right, wrong, or what the story is or whatnot. And it's a voice is a voice that's out there that all voices need to be heard, obviously.
Absolutely.
I just wish there was a better way as a small business owner and a real estate agent and a guy that really supports the community and the youth in this community that could have a better voice. And I just don't know what that sounding board is.
Yeah.
And how to do it. So, but that's where you're talking, man. It's your hands are tied as small business owners, and it's just sucks.
It sucks. It does. And it affects us both ways. There's situations where we really want to help, want to be an advocate. But if I help, that hurts my business. And I know even in my business, I'm in entertainment. If I do something that hurts the business, I'm legit hurting people that provide for their family based off of my actions, choices, and decisions. Yep. So it's not even about me, oh, you should stand up to that person and not take their money. Well, me not taking their money, now I can't help this person. And I've made promises to that person, and this person depends on that. You know, it's not just standing up for me. I stand up for me, and I stand on somebody else.
It's throwing that rock in the lake again.
Man.
Watching the ripple effect.
That's the title of this episode, Rock in the Lake.
Yeah, I mean, it's so true. And it's as much as I've done for the youth and what I will continue to do for the youth, and as much I just love the coaching and the training and the aspect of life. I mean, just not the player and athletes, and obviously the real estate agents that I get to train and the investors I get to coach, and we all need to be better. You know, we all need to be better. We all need to respect each other a lot more. We all, who gives a shit what one thinks or the other thinks, and the day of punching a guy in the nose and shaking a hand and having a drink later is those days are done.
Gone. Yeah, they're shooting you before you get to punch.
Yeah,
like damn, he didn't even try.
Yeah,
he could have beat me.
Man,
it's sad.
Yeah, we all need to be better, and we need to know what we brought to the table for each other. And I mean, you got people turning their back on each other that have been friends for 13, 15 years over political bullshit.
Yep.
So we all feel the effect of what's going on, and we all need to be together to get ourselves right again.
Yeah.
I just don't know how that is to be.
It's weird. I feel like I have the answer, and the answer is us. It's what we're building as in our own community. Something that I've seen, and even before we potted today, I was telling you how you introduced me to Essence. Essence invited me and my daughter to a class in Davenport. My daughter went from completely shy to won't dance, won't speak in front of people, to she's leading a class of 60 in a freestyle dance now. Like she was there that first day you hosted a workshop and they did the freestyle. She ran to me in tears. We went to Davenport first day, ran to me in tears again. I'm like, man, I don't think this is going to work. But she ended up comforting my daughter. Now my daughter's like on stage with me at least every month. You know, I'm paying her for the shows like that she's doing. You know, she's coming up with her own dances. And then in turn, I gave Essence studio time here at the Soundbox. Shout out to Soundbox. This episode sponsored by the Soundbox. I gave Essence studio time here, and I gave her that for free with hopes that she'd have us mix and master the record. Our guys, Lim and Rich, they mix and master. They work out a deal with her. She pays them to mix and master. Somehow we just kept all this in the community, not only on a financial front, but on a raising, my daughter. I don't have all the answers. I can't give her the confidence to dance in front of a crowd, but Essence did. She gave her the confidence, the comfort, how to do it. And that's something my daughter honestly couldn't have got from me, my mom, like nobody, her mom, but it takes a village. And that's not just to raise a kid, but also to run a business, to impact your community with the kids that you coach. Eventually, sometimes they become agents as well, or you help them buy their first home. And the thing about sports, like when I was growing up, I wasn't into sports. And, I made a lot of bad decisions growing up that luckily I found music. But now I see the impact of music and sports, and it's teaching respect and teaching values, and it's also occupying their time and giving them something to be passionate about, whether it starts in sports but it ends in business or it leads into real estate. It really takes a village, and I think what we're doing is building a community of good parents, good leaders, and also we're all together somehow doing good business.
Well, and I agree on that. I mean, you look at all the realtors that work for me. I either coached them at one time, or coached their kid at one time,
or coached with them,
or coached with them at one time. I mean, the Diplomats have been our goal has always been to get those kids off the street. Provide a lower income place for these kids to go, so they're not causing trouble. You don't got the money, we spot you, we figure it out, one way or the other. And just the network that's came off that, me and you, through Diplomats, because we knew Chuck, and now Chuck's selling real estate with us. And as soon as he blows up, I mean, we're all going to blow up. I mean, one person's success could really lead to all of our success.
Change everybody's lives, but it's not even just changing our lives. It's the generations to come, like how it affects his kids, what the kids are learning now at a younger age versus me and Chuck are learning about real estate in our 30s. And, now I'm telling my daughter about owning and renting and the difference, and she's 8. But I didn't know until now.
Well, I remember my daughter is probably right around your daughter's age, and my daughter's a beautiful dancer, fantastic dancer, and my other one is a fantastic basketball player. They now know the art of real estate. Like we've talked in other episodes how they can outsell anyone here in town. And now I'm seeing it with little Chuck. So Chuck's I mean, every time I'm around Little Chuck, he's asking me about real estate and how's Dad doing, and I mean, I'm like, Big Chuck's killing it, man, and I guarantee Little Chuck's gonna be a realtor. I'd put money on it,
and even if it doesn't end up in realty, he's gonna be so wise about it and have so much knowledge and know how to, like, good deals, bad deals, when to sell, when not to. And it's because of the community that we're building, even the podcast, you know, for those that listen to this, like, you know, I learned enough that I nearly passed that test. I know I did the 40-hour class, but I'm referencing podcast episodes. I'm referencing questions I had for you in terms that you used in our podcast.
Right.
So, you know, this is part of building the community, the podcast, the coaching, the music, the events, Iowa Summer Jam. It may have happened by the time this episode's out, but you know, we offer small business booths, and the people that go in there to perform at Summer Jam are investors. They invest in their music, but they don't know who to reach out to about buying a house or property management. When they see a KK Realty booth or a AMMT Properties table, you know, you can have those conversations. I had AT&T as a sponsor one year, which I actually should have emailed this year, but they signed up 10 different people for cell phone and cable and internet at an Iowa Summer Jam. And those people are still their customers to this day. So I've helped a larger corporation than I am, you know, and that stuff's important. They told me how the last 6 events they did before Summer Jam, they've walked away with a total of up to 3 sales. But they did Iowa Summer Jam and walked away with 10 in one. It's a smart investment. It's a no-brainer. What you spend on a booth is nothing compared to the lifetime of a customer, or even 6 months to a year of a customer.
Well, there ain't no doubt when we do Summer Jams, and we'll have a booth there. Both the property management side and real estate will be promoting as one, and I'm going to be looking for new realtors, or additional realtors. I'm going to be looking for additional investors, and I'm going to be looking for
agents.
And people that want to rent or buy. So I mean,
win.
Yeah, it will be network, and that's what we're about. And we, you know, Tone, if we could take a percentage of all the people we've helped that are now doing something different, I'm telling you,
we'd be locked in generation.
I mean, I can look at like 2 of the top, you know, 6 realtors in Cedar Rapids that, you know, I can gladly say that I trained them, I hired them, they worked underneath me. Shoot, I mean, and then I can look back and I just met a guy that's 26 years old, has $8 million worth of in real estate that he's done from investing. I can look at another guy that is 27 years old and he's now got like 1.3 million in assets because of what he's bought through us. And I mean, the list goes on. I mean, Zach, he's one of the top 5 realtors in the city here, and you know, he's making $250,000 a year, and you know, he's probably got 5 or 6 rental properties, and he's 26. You know, Brandon that works with us, he's got 4 or 5 rental properties. He's 23. I mean, the list just keeps going on and on and on. We're building a better future.
Yes. Like that is the goal.
That is what I got into coaching so you could educate these kids so they could be better people when they get out. Now some of the kids that I've coached that we've talked before, I mean, Trevor just had a baby, so I'm like, man, I remember when you were in 8th grade coaching.
You were a baby when I met you.
Now you're 28 with a kid. And Damon, my son, he's 30 years old now, and he's married, and I'm just like, damn. So it's like the impact we've had. I could die tomorrow, and I could say, you know what? Hey,
I did something.
Yep.
That's the best
I touched
feeling.
It. I touched it.
I left an impact. My time was not wasted. I can tell you that. That's that's crazy. Because that just ran an article on me and my guys yesterday on Summer Jam and an album we just dropped. T1 All Stars, got to plug it. And I've had probably 20 write-ups on me and things that I've done, started the company. This one felt like the most important one. Not just because like they just wrote just about the album, it's before Summer Jam, but it's because it included everybody. It was me giving this win to everybody. And it wasn't just my team. I've had people criticize me online. Like it seems like you only care about you and your team winning. And like, number one, I thought that was the dumbest comment ever because it's like, why would Jordan care about
The Lakers
Magic
winning? Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
I know that's still not me. I do make sure people that's not on my team win. I do provide opportunities for everybody to win and for us to get the newspaper article. And I mentioned artists that I'm not affiliated with, artists I've never worked with before, people to look out for, and people that are going to be a part of something in the future. That felt good. A lot of these people, this is their first time ever in press, in media. You know, we got a billboard up on I-380 right now. Most artists, there's like celebrity artists that don't have a billboard right now or never have and may never will. I'm providing that for people in Iowa. You know, we're on the radio. Just did a really cool interview with Jake. I pulled Chuck on the radio on FM in Cedar Rapids the other day. Like, giving those experiences to other people is more rewarding than me just getting them for myself now. And I just feel like we're at that point of not just passing the torch, because like you said, you know, come August, you're about to get back in the saddle. Sometimes we do got to lead by example. Sometimes it's let me show you how it's done. But when we're able to sit back and let the other people win and it affect them. And I interviewed a guy last night. He's been doing music for 7+ years, and it was his very first interview. And I love doing those. Like, you know, this is that moment for you. It's your very first time in the paper, on a billboard, on the radio. And we keep providing opportunities that a lot of people say don't even exist. And I feel like we're breaking generational curses, not just with
I agree,
the music and
100%
real
on that.
estate, but like just being there, just being a resource as a coach, as somebody that'll bring you on and mentor you and teach you. Like, what we do is so important. And I think the biggest satisfaction is like, if I was to go tomorrow, I left an impact. I impacted people's lives to the point that they'll tell their kids about it.
Right.
And their kids will raise their kids with, well, grandpa taught me, you know, you should do this because somebody did that for them. They may not remember my name, but my impact won't be forgotten.
Well, and we're prime examples of failure's okay.
Yeah. Oh,
Because we failed how many
Yep,
times,
yep,
man?
yep.
I can't tell you. I mean, failure. It's okay to fail.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny when you talk about the negative rights that go out there and so on and so forth. And you'll hear a saying come out of my mouth a lot, and I used it today, and I've used it all the damn time. There's two of them that I like to use a lot. If you're not at the top of the mountain, they can't cut you down. So, or if you're not a tall tree, you know they can't cut you down.
Yeah.
But if you're a small tree, they're not going to mess with you.
They're not even looking at you.
Yeah,
You're not
so-
even noticed.
So if you're at the top of the mountain, it's easy to be pushed off.
Yep.
Because-
It's
but you got
almost a
there.
compliment.
Yep,
It's
it
almost
is.
a compliment that you're insulting me. Oh, you've recognized my work.
Yep, you're coming too.
I
King
didn't
of the
even know
hill.
you were alive. Well,
Yep. Well, and then I mean, it comes to with staff, and it comes to with even the ones that we mentor, and it comes to like on the property management side. And one of my best investors, one of my biggest investors, I've been with me 10 years, and he always had a saying that don't expect what you don't inspect.
Yep.
And
Said
I
that
mean,
a couple times here.
and I mean, I take that to life, but I also take that obviously on the property management side. Don't count on your contractors to do what they're saying they're going to do until you look at it. Don't write a check until you've looked at it, type situation. But the same is when you're coaching and you're mentoring kids. If you don't have that follow up to know that they're doing the right thing, anyone can lay the groundwork, and anyone can sit out there and say, okay, this is what you should do, but the true leaders out there are the ones that are following up to make sure it is getting done, and you're
There's a lot of people that oh, I told you should have did that. Well, you didn't look at the the risk of doing that.
Right.
The last person that did that failed because of this, that, and the third. And but you could figure it out. Oh, I did figure it out. That's why I didn't do that. That's why I went my way. Even if my way did fail as well, I did my research on that way, and I probably did my research on the way you suggested, and it just wasn't my path at that time.
Yep. Do what successful people do, and don't recreate the wheel. I mean, and it's so true across the board. I mean, do what successful people do. Surround yourself with a positive environment, and you'll be great. I mean, but Tone, we've covered a lot. This is probably one of my favorites ones, man.
It keeps getting better. Getting better.
Yeah, this
last episode was short and sweet. I really like to get back into things, but this one, the first time we touched on politics, the first time we really just broke down like what our legacies should look like.
Right.
And, why our jobs are important, even on different spectrums of it. And we still found a way to cross paths and we still work together, interconnect outside of the podcast. Like, and then the real estate part of my life now is something I didn't even expect. So, you know, the people that you meet, super important. Networking is everything. But don't expect what you don't inspect.
Yes, exactly. And that's self-awareness right there too. So don't expect to be great if you didn't check over your shit to make sure you're doing the right things too.
Exactly. Do the right thing,
Yep.
but also, you know, pay attention to who's making decisions. Pay attention to who's in office, and
Leadership
pay attention who you're voting for. What's the rock in the lake?
Yeah. Throw the rock in the pond or rock in the lake. Yep. Watch the ripple effects, because if you ain't feeling it right now, come ask. I'll tell you about them.
Hey, great episode. Whiskey and Real Estate. Lucas Burton, KK Realty.
Yep. Burrington Real Estate. So AMMT Property Management. Just let us know what you guys, if you do watch us, make a little click and let us know if there's any other topics you want us to talk about too. So
That's what we're here for. Yeah, we got to do some questions. We got to do some Q&A. Like, let's build this up and get a bunch of questions that the audience need answers on. Maybe they need help.
well, I think our next episode, that's what we're planning on, is getting some new investors and new realtors in here, and you and I are going to be asking the questions.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
Yeah,
That's
I want to
gonna
hear
be
what
fun.
these deer in the headlights
You know,
looks are.
we got a couple employees from last season that stuck around,
Yep.
and we were like, hey, you're about to get started. What do you expect? Now
It's
we
probably
can
a good
always
time to
bring them back
yeah,
in.
Bree and Gabby
How's it
and, yeah.
been? What, you know, here's what you said last time. What's changed? What's worked? What did you predict? So,
Yep.
yeah, we got some options. I'm
yeah.
excited.
It's going to be a good season.
It's going to be a great season. All right, one more cheers.
Cheers.
Knob Creek.
Knob Creek, Whiskey and Real Estate.
Let's go.